Here is a number worth pausing on. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 1 in 4 adults over 65 falls every single year, and falls are the leading cause of injury in that age group. But here's the part that doesn't get said often enough. A fall is rarely just a fall. For a lot of older adults, it's the first domino, the hip fracture, the hospital stay, the weeks in a rehab center, and sometimes the move into long-term care that nobody in the family saw coming. The reassuring news, and there genuinely is good news here, is that 2 of the biggest forces behind weakness and falls, losing muscle and losing bone, are strongly influenced by something almost completely within your control: what ends up on your plate. So today, let's walk through 8 everyday foods that research links to stronger muscles, steadier balance, and a far better shot at staying in your own home for years to come. And here's a detail from that same CDC data that makes the stakes clear. Falling once roughly doubles your chances of falling again, and yet fewer than half of the older adults who fall ever mention it to their doctor. Each one quietly raises the odds of the next. So this is not a small subject. It's one of the biggest factors in whether the years ahead are spent independent or spent depending on someone else. One quick note before we start. This is general information, not medical advice, and it's not a substitute for the doctor who actually knows your history. Think of it as a better starting point for that conversation, not the final word. So why focus on muscle and bone? Because the medical name for age-related muscle loss is sarcopenia, and it's more common than most people realize. By some estimates, it touches a meaningful share of adults in their 70s and beyond. There's a related challenge worth naming too. A large study of adults over 50, published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging, found that close to half weren't getting enough protein day to day, which makes holding onto muscle even harder than it has to be. And as muscle quietly slips away, so does strength, balance, and the simple ability to catch yourself when you stumble. Bone tends to follow the same downward path, which is what turns an ordinary trip over a rug into a fracture. Here's the encouraging part, and it comes straight from researchers at places like Harvard. This decline is not a one-way street. Protein, a few key vitamins, and a handful of specific nutrients can help slow it down. And in some cases, even partly rebuild what's been lost, especially when you pair good food with a little strength and balance movement. Food isn't a miracle cure, and I want to be honest about that. But it may be one of the most powerful tools you're not using to its full potential. Let's start with the food most experts would put right at the front of a line. Number 1, fatty fish, salmon, sardines, and mackerel. If muscle and bone are the goal, this is a food that works on both at the same time. First, it's a source of complete, high-quality protein, and protein is the raw material your body uses to maintain muscle. That matters more as you age, not less, which surprises a lot of people. Harvard Health points out that while the standard recommendation sits around 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, many researchers now suggest older adults aim closer to 1 to 1.2 grams to make up for what scientists call anabolic resistance. That's the muscle's reduced response to protein as we get older. Fatty fish also delivers omega-3 fatty acids, which research has associated with lower levels of inflammation. And it happens to be one of the few natural food sources of vitamin D, and that last point matters for this topic in particular. Studies have linked low vitamin D to muscle weakness and a higher risk of falling. Now here's an honest caveat you won't always hear. The research on vitamin D supplements actually preventing falls is genuinely mixed, and high doses can even backfire, so this is not about reaching for a bottle of pills. It's about getting enough through real food and asking your doctor where your own levels stand. A reasonable goal many dietitians suggest is 2 to 3 servings of fatty fish a week. Number 2, eggs. For years, eggs were treated with suspicion, but the thinking has shifted considerably. For most healthy people, an egg or 2 a day fits comfortably into a heart-conscious diet, and for the topic of strength, eggs are quietly outstanding. One large egg offers about 6 grams of complete protein, and just as importantly, it's rich in leucine. That's the specific amino acid researchers describe as almost an on-switch for building muscle. Eggs also supply vitamin B12 and choline, both important for the nerve signaling that keeps your movements coordinated and your reactions quick, which is a real part of what helps you stay upright when your foot catches an edge. And here's a practical advantage that's easy to overlook. Eggs are soft, affordable, and easy to chew and digest. That genuinely matters because one of the main reasons older adults fall short on protein is simply a smaller appetite. If a full meal feels like too much, A couple of eggs is one of the easiest ways to add quality protein without much fuss. Think of someone in their late 70s who's lost interest in big lunches. A scrambled egg or two, maybe with a little spinach folded in, can quietly close a protein gap that would otherwise widen week after week. As always, if you've been told to watch your cholesterol, or you're managing heart disease, run your egg intake by your doctor first. Number 3, Greek yogurt and other dairy. This one is a genuine 2-for-1, hitting both muscle and bone in a single serving. Greek yogurt is packed with protein, often 15 to 20 grams per cup, and it's also one of the best sources of calcium, the mineral your bones are literally built from. Many dairy products are fortified with vitamin D2, which your body needs in order to absorb that calcium in the first place. Bone density tends to decline with age, especially for women after menopause, and that's exactly what turns a minor stumble into a broken hip. Foods that bring calcium, protein, and vitamin D together hand your skeleton the materials it needs to stay strong. The other benefit is practical again. Yogurt is gentle on the stomach, easy to manage when your appetite is low, and simple to pair with the next food on our list. And if you're lactose intolerant, fortified soy yogurt or lactose-free milk can deliver a similar nutritional package, something a dietitian can help you fine-tune to your needs. Number 4, leafy greens. Spinach, kale, and collard greens. These bring something a little different to the table. They're one of the richest sources of vitamin K, which research has connected to bone health and to your body using calcium properly. They also deliver folate, magnesium, and 2 antioxidants called lutein and zeaxanthin, which studies associate with protecting aging eyes against macular degeneration. And vision is far more connected to falls than people assume. When you can't clearly see the edge of a step or a rug curling up at the corner, your odds of tripping climb quickly. Leafy greens also contain natural compounds called nitrates, which the body uses to support healthy blood flow. Better circulation can mean steadier energy, and some research suggests it may support muscle function as well. You don't need to force down giant bowls of salad to get this. A handful of spinach folded into your eggs, blended into a smoothie, or simmered into a soup is plenty. The general guidance from most nutrition authorities is to make these a near-daily habit. Number 5, beans and lentils. Here's where plant foods pull real weight. A single cup of cooked lentils provides roughly 18 grams of protein, along with a generous amount of fiber, and all of it with no saturated fat. For holding on to muscle, that protein counts. And spreading protein across the day, a little at each meal rather than loading it all into dinner, is something researchers increasingly recommend for older adults, because the aging body uses protein more effectively in smaller, regular doses. Legumes also supply magnesium, which supports normal muscle and nerve function, and iron, which helps carry oxygen to your tissues. Low iron can leave you tired and weak, and that fatigue indirectly raises fall risk. On top of all that, the fiber in beans helps steady your blood sugar, and stable blood sugar means fewer energy crashes and fewer of those lightheaded moments that can knock you off balance. They're inexpensive, they keep almost forever, and canned versions work perfectly well. Just give them a rinse to cut down the sodium. 3 to 4 servings a week is an easy, affordable target. Number 6, nuts and seeds. Small, but they more than earn their place. A handful of walnuts, almonds, or pumpkin seeds delivers plant protein, heart-healthy fats, and a strong dose of magnesium, a mineral a lot of older adults run short on, and one that's tied directly to muscle function, nerve signaling, and bone health. Almonds in particular are rich in vitamin E, an antioxidant that helps shield your cells from everyday damage. The fats in nuts are the heart-friendly kind, and research has linked regular nut eaters to better cardiovascular health overall. For our purposes, though, the real appeal is convenience. A small daily handful, about an ounce, is one of the simplest ways on earth to add nutrients that support strength with zero cooking involved. The one thing to watch is portion size, since nuts are calorie-dense. And if you have any trouble swallowing, nut butters or ground seeds may be easier and safer to work into your day. Number 7, berries. Blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries do something the other foods on this list don't quite manage. They're loaded with antioxidant compounds called polyphenols, which research has associated with sharper brain function, and your brain is mission control for balance and reaction time. Studies have suggested that older adults who eat berries regularly tend to show measurably better memory and faster processing speed. And why does that matter for falls? Because staying steady on your feet isn't only about muscle. It's about how fast your brain notices a misstep and tells your body to correct course before you go down. Berries also provide vitamin C, which your body uses to make collagen, a building block of the tendons and connective tissue that hold your joints together. Whether you buy them fresh or frozen, both keep their nutritional value, so there's no need to spend a fortune. A cup a day, stirred into yogurt or oatmeal, is about as effortless as a health habit gets. And number 8. Whole grains. Oats, quinoa, and brown rice. These are the quiet workhorses of the list. Unlike refined grains, whole grains keep their fiber, their B vitamins, and their magnesium intact. Those B vitamins support steady energy and a healthy nervous system, and energy matters more than it might sound, because fatigue keeps people sitting still, and sitting still speeds up the very muscle loss we're trying to prevent. Quinoa is worth singling out because it's one of the rare plant foods that counts as a complete protein with all 9 essential amino acids. The fiber in whole grains also helps regulate blood sugar and cholesterol, and research has linked whole grain-rich diets to lower rates of heart disease and type 2 diabetes, conditions that, left unmanaged, slowly chip away at the strength and stamina that keep you independent. Swapping white bread and white rice for whole grain versions is a genuinely small change with a long-term payoff. Steel-cut oats in the morning, a scoop of quinoa instead of white rice at dinner, or simply choosing a whole grain bread at the store. None of it requires a new recipe or a trip to a specialty shop. And many people notice the difference within a couple of weeks, in steadier energy through the afternoon and fewer of the blood sugar dips that leave you feeling shaky. So let's bring it all together. Fatty fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, leafy greens, beans and lentils, nuts and seeds, berries, and whole grains. Notice the pattern running through nearly every one of them. They keep circling back to the same 2 goals: protecting your muscle and protecting your bone, the 2 pillars that keep you steady on your feet and out of a care facility. And here's maybe the most reassuring part of all. You don't need to overhaul your entire kitchen overnight. Pick just 1 or 2 of these this week. Add an egg at breakfast. Keep a handful of nuts for the afternoon. Have a cup of yogurt with berries before bed. Small, repeatable choices, made most days of the week, are what quietly add up over months and years. There's one honest reminder I want to leave you with, though. Food is powerful, but it works best alongside the basics that doctors keep coming back to: staying active with a little strength and balance movement, and regular check-ins about things like your vitamin D levels and the medications you're taking, since some of those can affect balance too. On vitamin D specifically, the smartest move isn't to guess. It's to have your level checked, and let your doctor decide whether food alone is enough or whether a measured amount of supplementation makes sense for you, because more is not always better there. None of what we covered today replaces that kind of personalized care. So before you make any big changes, especially if you're managing a health condition, please talk it through with your doctor or a registered dietitian who can tailor it to you. If this was helpful and you'd like more clear, evidence-based guidance on aging well and staying strong, consider subscribing so the next one finds its way to you. And take good care of yourself, because the independence you're protecting is worth every good meal between now and then.